British Boarding School Fair. Today is day 4. In the past 3 days, we have seen, the past 3 days of the fair, we have seen many schools, many brilliant, interesting, and high-profile schools. Today, we're going to see 3 schools. We have 3 schools on the lineup today as well. And it promises to be nothing but amazing, educative, insightful, and all of that. I'm not hosting alone today as usual. Today, I have with me a co-host, Abimbola, and we're going to be running the fair together today. So today, just like the other days, we're going to meet with the top management of different schools. We're going to meet with the top management of different schools. We're going to have the opportunity to ask them whatever questions we have always wanted to ask. It's a beautiful time to ask those questions. We also have the top management of Brent and Butter here on ground to answer our questions. We're going to get to meet with all of these people. And then we're also going to be having a panel session today. And the topic we're going to be looking at is preserving African values in a Western setting. We're going to have a robust discussion on this. So if you're ready, we are more than ready to start the fair. So let's get this fair started. The first school that would be going today is Dean Close School. Do we have Dean Close School here?
Yes, we do.
Oh, okay. All right. I was trying to identify you on the call. Oh, great, great. Okay, so Dean Close School will be represented, okay, by Mrs. Kelly Surgeon, I believe.
That's right.
Good.
Yes.
Okay. So, Dean Close, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. Well, it's a real pleasure to be here today. So hello to everybody. I'm Kelly Sargent. I'm Head of Admissions for Dean Close Senior School. So Dean Close is a foundation and the senior school has pupils here from the ages of 13 up to 18 years of age. I'm also joined by our assistant head who has responsibility for pupil pathways and international pupils, Mrs. Betts. And I'm also very lucky to be joined by 3 of our wonderful pupils, because you can hear a lot from staff, but actually we think at Dean Close it's really useful to hear the pupil voice. So that's what we feel is right today. So just to give you a little insight into Dean Close, the senior school was established 130 years ago, and it's in the southwest of the UK. So it's in a town called Cheltenham, which is a really beautiful Regency area. We have 50 acres here, so we've got a lot of space for our school campus, which is really wonderful. The senior school's got 500 pupils here. That's our good size, half boys, half girls. And half of our school community are day pupils and half of our school community are boarding pupils. So the pupils with me today are boarding pupils from 1 pupils in year 11, so halfway through GCSEs, and 2 pupils are in our A-level courses at the moment. In terms of what we really believe in at Dean Close, we genuinely want every pupil within our foundation to flourish. Now, we have a really lovely range of pupils here. We have different personalities, we have different backgrounds from pupils. We want to encourage and support every single person in our community the whole way through. And that's really, really important to us. So we have 3 core values here, which is love, courage and contribution. And that can mean different things to different pupils. But for us, we just want every single person to be able to thrive. So I hope that's a little introduction. I'm just going to allow Mrs. Vest now just to say hello, and we thought it would be really good for us to essentially just have a few thoughts from our pupils. Okay?
Hello everybody. As Kelly said, it is wonderful to be able to speak to you all online today. So welcome. And I think, from my point of view, my role very much is about welcoming in our pupils from all across the world and in really ensuring that they get the best experience that they can. And as Kelly said, that's about identifying those individual strengths and interests and really helping them to build a pathway, build a journey through their school experience here to go on to achieve their potential in whatever that may be. Now, that can be in terms of, building towards a highly academic experience where you're going on to a top university, and there is stretch opportunities built through the curriculum all the way through. And one key thing that I would say here that's been from my experience doing this role for a good number of years and all the way through the COVID pandemic is very much that our families are part of our school community as well. So it's not simply keeping an eye on the pupils' experience here, which obviously is at the forefront of all of our minds, and everything that we do at Dean Close is very pupil-centred. But you are very much part of our school community as well. So at the beginning of the school year, we host an international induction. That's like a soft landing experience to really help pupils who are coming from perhaps quite a different culture and education system to help them feel at home as quickly as they can here so that they can be confident and go on to thrive. And I would always say at that point, please be ready, ask us questions, challenge us with your perspectives, and let's all open our eyes so that we can learn from one another. And so really my message to you today is that warm Dean Close welcome. Welcome to us as a school. Obviously we're speaking remotely, but I want to welcome you today to Dean Close. So I think the most important thing is to hear from our wonderful pupils that I have with us today. So if I can just introduce you to them. So we have Jane, who's currently in Upper 6. We have Ezra, who's studying in Year 11, so for GCSEs. And we have Maxwell, who is currently in Lower 6 at the moment. And I'm just going to pass you over to them so that they can say a little bit and just say, who you are, perhaps, what you've enjoyed most about Dean Close in your experience so far, maybe how long you've been at the school. Jen.
Hi, I just joined Dean Close about 2 years ago, or like half a year ago, so I just came into Lower 6 and I'm now in Upper 6. I think Dean Close was a big change, like culturally as well, but it was nice to always like have the international team like to support me. Like I remember if I had any problems, I'd always go to Miss Best to ask for help or support, or if I was feeling a bit homesick, I always knew that I had like a team who would be able to support me. And I also have my parents who Dean Close did a very good job of like allowing me to have that relationship with my parents and my school. I also think Dean Close provided a lot of extracurricular things for me. So I was able to find new interests. I'm now on the school badminton team, and coming here just allowed me to develop like interest in that. And it's given me just more cultural exposure. So I've been able to learn from different people and just understand different cultures around the world. So I think Dean Close is, I think Dean Close is a very, it exposes you to things that you didn't know, and it makes you feel like just loved, and it just makes you feel loved, and you always have support, so you can always have like a team to fall back on, and like just make you feel that you're seen, basically. That's how I feel.
Thank you, Jane. I think what Jane's talking about there is that all-round pastoral care that's so important for the well-being of our pupils. So whilst we began talking about academics, we know that actually if pupils are not happy and thriving in terms of their welfare, their well-being, then actually it will be hard for them to achieve. So that is central to what we do here at Dean Close, along with those values, and which really are drawn from our deep Christian ethos in the school. Ezra, let's come to you, please.
So my name's Ezra. I'm in Year 11. and I'm an international boarder living in Congo. I think one thing that I really appreciate about Dean Close is to be able to do a variety of activities. I remember when I was living in Hong Kong, a lot of the subjects were very focused and there was a lot of teacher pressure. And when I came to the UK for my studies, the Dean Close provided a more warm approach to studying. And unlike in Hong Kong, when you had to be the best to do new activities, Dean Close provides you with sport, which you don't have to be the best at, but it's a great way of discovering new types of sport to enjoy, and also academics. The teachers provide a lot of support, and it's a very great way of learning.
Thank you, Ezra. And Maxwell, please.
My name is Maxwell. I joined Dean Close in year 7 of 2019. So I've been here going on 6 years now. Obviously coming from Nigeria to the UK, like Jane said, it's been a big change, culture-wise, leaving all you know behind in Nigeria, and coming to board in a place that you're not familiar with it was hard at the start, but all right, the first 3 weeks I got over it and I realized that this is a great place to be. One good thing about Dean Close is the ability to give everyone something to do, making everyone feel like they're part of something. For example, me, I'm now on the first team for rugby. When I joined, I had no clue how to play rugby. But now I've spent almost 6 years here. It's because of the inclusivity and the ability to continue going back at something that you're struggling with. That's what's led me to the first team. Not only sports-wise, but people-wise. In Nigeria, obviously everyone was pretty much on their own. There was the clique of the popular kids and then the not so popular kids. In Dean Close, I feel everyone has a chance to be friends with everyone. Nobody particularly judges you on where your background is, if anything, they're interested in your background. Nobody really cares about what you are on the outside, because you can be anything on the outside. The people in Dean Close, they really look at what you are on the inside and they judge you off of that. And that's something that I've grown to really appreciate about the school, the inclusivity and how nice the people are.
Thank you, Maxwell. And I think this is really digging into how, as individuals, each individual pupil can contribute to our school community, and how those core values of love, courage and contribution are reflected in all aspects of the school. So if we dig into that a little bit more, and look firstly at how we talked a little bit about how we're supported in our academics, but I wondered, Ezra, if I can come to you to talk about how teachers stretch you within your academics. Maybe if you could give us some ideas of the kind of things that might happen in the classroom. How do our teachers help you to contribute your ideas? We have a strong partnership with local schools here in Cheltenham. So within, we're a school community, but we're part of a strong community of schools in our local area as well. And that gives our students opportunities to get out there into the area and do all kinds of different activities, which I know that Ezra has been involved in on a couple of occasions, might be able to give us some examples and insights.
One thing that pupils can do is helping out in the Uganda helping with the Uganda school. So we have a club that enables us to raise funds through events such as Disguised Acadians. So it expands your knowledge, and you can learn more about Ugandan culture alongside being able to raise funds. Another way that pupils can expand their academics is with festivals such as the Science Festival and the Literature Festival. I remember last year I gave a talk at the Cheltenham Literature Festival about how one can grow their identity, and what it can mean to contribute to a community. In the classroom-wise, pupils can expand their knowledge by approaching teachers. You can have one-to-ones, especially with a lot of the clinics. And then also teachers give you a lot of feedback. So if you have any areas you want to expand on, the teachers are always there to help you out.
That's great, thank you. And it might be interesting as well for parents to get that perspective from our A-level students. So literally this time last week, I was speaking to our lower six, our year 12 students, who've obviously made a good start on their A-level courses and are starting to think about the journey beyond. So looking at universities, looking at future pathways, and I was speaking to the whole year group this time last week for our Futures Day. We have a very strong Futures team here at Dean Close. I wondered if Maxwell and Jane could perhaps give us some insights into the support that you've had in terms of thinking about which direction you would like to take in the future with your studies.
So for me, my main subject, the subject I'm really passionate about is DT, design technology. So the next step for me is I'm looking for something design, a career design based when I go to university. My teacher, Mr. Evans, he's quite good at all the stuff he does. So me and him I've been emailing him, he's been emailing me back about how I can build, how I can take that next step. He said I should start building a portfolio. So the stuff that we do in design technology, for example, the stuff that we did last term, if I put that on my portfolio, I could have a good chance of getting into a good university. So I think another good thing about Dean Close is how supportive they are, how close they are to helping you take the next step.
The Futures Day last week was really encouraging people to build their CV. We had specialists come in. We had university representatives come in and really give insights into university life and how students can get ahead and start building a portfolio and building towards their future aspirations. And we were very much to be a part of that. In sixth form as well, we have one-to-one tutoring, don't we, Jane? And we also have lots of leadership opportunities for our pupils, which Jane might be able to tell us a little bit about as we then move through to talk a little bit about the Christian ethos in the school as well. So, because I think you're a key leader there on that side of the school too. So over to Jane.
Well, Dean Close has a lot of leadership opportunities, like Ms. Best said. I think you're always able to help in any in any area of the school. So you're able to, for example, I help with the Christian community in the school. So I'm a chapel warden. So meaning that I have a lot of responsibilities to help with church links or the Christian union we have in school, or outside links to other churches that would help Dean Close. And we also have links to important Christian leaders around England who sometimes come to talk to us in chapel. I think Dean Close as a school allows international pupils to get involved. They promote it to us so we don't feel like we're just sitting back. They want us to go out there and push us forward so we can show that we can grow as people and have more opportunities to put ourselves out there. So yeah.
Through the whole A-level curriculum, then the focus is not simply on academics, but it's also we're drawing on building pupils' skills across the curriculum. So within all those different activities that are available, that Ezra has given and Maxwell has given us some insights into, whether that be design, creativity, it could be art, it could be doing some new adventure activities with our head of adventure. There's so much there really, which is building the profile of each student as a person not simply as an academic record. The academic record is key and it's important, it's central to what we do, but more widely than that, this is a holistic school experience for pupils who come to Dean Close. I was reminded this morning, we have chapel 3 times a week at Dean Close, and this morning was all about building a strong foundation in life. The pupils enjoyed the talk from the school chaplain who used the analogy of a pizza. And if you don't have a strong pizza base, then actually all the ingredients are floating through. So actually to bring together our school values and help pupils to build that strong foundation on which they can build going forward. That's really what's key here at Dean Close.
So I think that perhaps is probably the time that we've got just to introduce our lovely school community to you. We're really, really happy to answer any questions as well, but hopefully through a little glimpse of our wonderful pupils, you have seen a little bit of why we think Dean Close is incredibly special.
Thank you very much. It's a delight to listen and watch all of you talk. It's quite a delight. Okay, we have some questions here. Okay. The first question says, what framework do you have in place for younger students to interact with older students and also children from different backgrounds?
So I would say that this is about that inclusive aspect of the school. So I would say that the frameworks that we have in place are all those opportunities which exist across the pastoral system, across the academics and the co-curriculum. And what I would say is different, because I know that a lot of schools could sit here and say the same. We can look at many beautiful websites. But of all the schools that I've worked in, then what Dean Close does differently is the tutoring is key to opening up those opportunities for pupils. So a strong relationship that all of these pupils will have with their housemaster, housemistress, and tutors. And as I say, in sixth form, that's a one-to-one tutoring session that you'll have every week. That's where really pupils can be encouraged and invited. We understand that many students might feel a little bit nervous, a little bit holding back. Okay, how can I get involved? That's often a question that will come to me in those first few weeks of the school year. I want to be able to do this. I'd like to set up a club doing this. I'm really passionate about this subject, and how to get involved. And we as professionals can kind of unlock those doors to enable pupils to get there. And that might be, you know, finding them a buddy to go along with. It might be kind of gently and discreetly kind of guiding them to the different sessions and then touching base to see how things have gone. So from that point of view, I think the framework is there, which is one of kind of personal support, really getting to know our pupils, getting to understand them, so that in those tutoring sessions, and I'm sure all of us can think of those moments where actually you've learned about what are the strengths, what are the interests, and then our job as professionals to, as I say, unlock those doors so that pupils can take part. Pupils of all backgrounds, we do have a broad admission into the school. So we've got lots of pupils from as many different cultures, different places, different experiences. Many families that have perhaps moved around. They're UK families, they're British families, but have moved around as well and understand what that feels like actually to move culture and move country, move school. And, you know, there's a whole broad spectrum in terms of, as I say, you know, top achievers academically. And then those as well, there's a strong learning support department for those pupils who may have specific learning difficulties or view the world in a slightly different way, and we need to kind of accommodate their needs within our community as well. So I would say that from that point of view, it's that inclusivity, and then our job as professionals is really to guide and to get the knowledge of pupils is at the core, I think, of your question.
Okay, so the next question, what are the specific strategies employed at Dean Close to ensure a smooth transition for international students in terms of academic support and language acquisition?
So this goes back to right from the beginning. So when we have our list of new students that are coming in from all across the world, it's a really exciting moment for me and our international team to be welcoming these people from across the world to our school community. And this is key. This is really important. So we have an international induction weekend. So pupils who are travelling in for the first time. And one of the key questions I think was about travel, and we're very strong in our communication. We're very strong in terms of making sure that people's experience when they're travelling into the country is safe and secure. So there's a whole framework there in terms of actually before you arrive, that communication with the school office, ensuring that pupils know what they're doing, and ensuring that pupils are transferred safely across, in school transport. Back to school. So there's that part of it. But the question here is really about feeling that sense of belonging from the beginning. So students over the International Induction Weekends, and I'm looking around, who was at the International Induction Weekend? Brilliant, okay. So Ezra, maybe you can give a little, can you remember that weekend and how it helped you feel part of the community quickly?
When we arrived at the boarding house during international induction, the house parents were already at the front of house with the head of houses greeting the pupils, which already set the tone for the feeling of belonging. And then afterwards, we went across the school. So it enables the pupils to become familiar with their surroundings, where each building is. And even if the student can't remember, there's always people who are already at the school who will be willing to help the pupils. One of the things that I really enjoyed about the induction was all the activities. So I remember with the head of adventure, we made catapults, we did a treasure hunt around the school, and then there were a lot of prizes. And for those who like chocolate, that was the main goal, to win the game so they could eat the chocolate. It was really good fun. You got to meet people from around the world, and it also made you feel really at home with the people who are already there and all the other international pupils.
And I think that's lovely to hear, Ezra, actually, that was a really positive experience. Behind the scenes of what's happening through that weekend really are a team of staff who are helping those new students get used to routines early. So in terms of making sure that everyone is aware of how prep works, how homework works, how you can seek support academically. And obviously there's an awareness there, and I think it's an awareness that's grown for us as a school over a number of years. I've been here 13 years now, and there's an awareness of understanding how different education systems can be, so that in those early days when pupils are arriving into their classes, we're not immediately going to assume that everybody knows what to do right from the beginning. It's going to be, as I say, getting to know pupils early, but also putting that structure there so that they know how to seek support, so that we can actually assess early on. So from a parent's point of view, we assess early on, gently and discreetly, to make sure that experience is a positive one, but we are watching then to see where pupils might need that additional support. For students for whom English is a second language, we have a fully trained and professional centre, which is for English language acquisition, and also that department works very closely with learning support as well, who have a close eye on developing strong numerical skills and literacy skills through the pupils' experience. I hope that goes some way to answer your question.
Absolutely. Yes, we have more questions in the Q&A, but for lack of time, I wouldn't be able to take those questions live. So I'd encourage that you'd just drop the answers on the Q&A. And I'd really love for your students to wait for the panel session, because I'd love to know how the African values have been preserved, how they think it has been preserved so far. So I don't know if you would indulge me, if they would be able to wait on the call till the end of the the program today, the fair today. Is that
I
fine?
I think we could arrange that, absolutely. Yeah, it'd be a pleasure to take part.
Amazing. Okay, thank you. Okay, so we'll move on. Thank you so much for your presentation. It was amazing. Thank you. So we'll move on to the next school now. And that would be Brentwood School, represented by Brian Hayes. Brian Hayes is the boarding recruitment manager. Good afternoon once again. Or is it still morning? Yes, it's still morning. Good morning.
It is morning here. Yes. Hello. I'm boarding recruitment manager. I don't know that I'm going to be able to answer all those detailed questions in quite the same way, but I'll do my best if they come up. So I'm going to share my screen and show a video from the headmaster, if that's okay. So if you could just give me a second to do that. And then I will come back and tell you more about us. Okay, can you see my screen?
Not yet. It says, oh yeah, now we can.
Okay, lovely. Okay, here we go. Here is our headmaster, Mr. Bond.
I often get asked what I love most about Brentwood School, and I always give the same answer, and that is community. For me, Brentwood is much more of a community than a school. We have a strong moral purpose here. We want our students to do good in the world, not just well in their exams. Our community comes in part from our values. Our values, virtue, learning and manners were first written down in 1622, so they've been with us for over 400 years. And I would argue they've never been more important than they are today. We walk the walk rather than just talking the talk. We live our values. They're much more than just posters. And we ask our students and we ask ourselves to follow and use them in every decision we make, whether that's big or small. An important part of community is well-being. We want our students to feel cared for, known and valued as individuals in our school. We want all of our students to find out what it is that makes them tick. Everyone has something that makes them special, and our job with parents working together in partnership is to help every individual student find out what that thing is for them. One of the ways we do that is by providing both breadth and depth. We have a very broad curriculum. For example, in the sixth form, we're one of the only independent schools in the UK that offers 3 pathways: the IB diploma, the BTEC extended diploma, and of course, A-levels. We have a vast range of co-curricular activities: music, the performing arts, sport, CCF, voluntary service, Duke of Edinburgh, you name it, we've got it. The benefit of that is it allows students to try lots of things, some of which they've done before they join us, some of which they've never tried. And we encourage all of our students to get involved because they will find something that is going to become their thing. And of course, going back to well-being, if a young person finds out what it is that makes them tick, they are much more likely to be content, to be happy, and then of course a virtuous circle is completed, they will do well. We're blessed with fantastic facilities. We have 75 acres of green space here at Brentwood, only 25 minutes from central London. Our facilities, we have modern state-of-the-art facilities across the campus, but they are very much blended with our historic buildings. The original schoolroom, dating back to the 1560s, is still in daily use. Our chapel from the mid-19th century is used for all of our students. Our library, our Bean Library, is a blend of the old and the new, and that very much represents our school. We have deep roots that go back into our history, but we're also very forward-looking and optimistic about the future. An example of that is our newest building, a 120-bedroom single ensuite boarding house with an integrated sixth form cafe that will be opening its doors in September 2025. But much more important than facilities are people. I started by talking about community and our people make our community. It's what makes Brentwood School special. In fact, it's what makes us Brentwood.
So that's an introduction from the headmaster. We just to add on to that some extra details. Oh, excuse me. Sorry about that. So we are a diamond model school. I can tell you more about that in a minute. We attract boarders, a lot of boarders coming in for IB. As you heard Mr. Bond say, we offer IB, International Baccalaureate Diploma, BTECs and A-levels. But a lot of boarders coming in for our IB, which is at a very high level. We have a 38.3 IB average. A lot of boarders coming in for various aspects of the co-curriculum. Music is one very strong one particularly strong one. We are a Steinway school for music, and which means we have a partnership with Steinway Pianos, and we have a specialist music program, which is a sort of pre-conservatoire level program. But being a large school, and we are a very large school, there's a lot on offer, and I think partly in response to some of the questions that just came up about, you know, how do borders set in, about that idea, which will be interesting to explore, of African values. I think it's about having a very strong community for a start, and ours is based on our values, which are virtue, learning, manners. These are things that these are the same values that have been around for over 400 years in the school, so incredibly strong. So it's having that cohesion, but I think as well it's about finding your group, your tribe, if you like, the group of people that are doing the thing that makes you tick, and I can relate to that as a young pupil that came over from Africa myself, from East Africa, age 6, and into a prep school. And for me, that was sport, and then to find that in a school, and to find it valued, and to find that I could do lots of that, and do it with friends that were into the same thing, meant everything to me. And that's sort of my memory of prep school, my prep school years, just playing lots of sport. But whether it's sport, and in particular sports, I mean, you've seen their football on that video, but we have lots and lots of other sports at a high level, music and so on. I think it's in part finding within the context of a strong community. And just finally, from me to say that you've seen there, we are expanding our boarding, which is an interesting thing to do in the sort of current economic climate. But that was a decision taken some time ago. We open our new boarding house this September, so we're recruiting now. It's a very exciting building. We're moving all our boarders into it, and every boarder from September 25 onwards will have a single room with an ensuite bathroom. So really exciting, and very happy to take questions.
Thank you for that presentation. It was a beautiful one. Okay, so we don't have questions for you yet. Parents, if you want to ask questions, please feel free to do so. You can ask your questions live if you want to. Just indicate by a show of hand, and then we'll make it possible for you to ask your questions live. And you can also send your questions to Q&A, and we would address the questions from there. But I don't know if Dr. Alo wants to say something.
Yes, I was just thinking that we can actually ask Mr. Hayes some of the questions in the Q&A, because
Yeah, I've just seen them. Yeah.
Yes, want to know
Okay.
these things. Yeah.
Okay.
Shall I
All right.
go through them myself?
if
Would
that's
you want me
okay.
to read them out to you?
Yes, please go ahead and then I'll respond.
All right. So how do you deal with challenges with disagreements between pupils?
Okay, I think you've heard a sort of similar answer from a previous school, and every school will have a version of the same kind of answer. It's basically about having a very strong pastoral team and a pastoral setup. You know, all the schools in this meeting and the other schools that are taking part this week will be very strong pastorally, and that's one of the extremely strong aspects of independent education in the UK. For our borders, same as in other schools, I think they've got a pastoral team in the boarding house, so led by the house parents, but also resident house tutors and then visiting house tutors that come in for, you know, for evenings and weekends. So they've got that pastoral team, but when they leave the boarding house in the morning, which in that new boarding house you'll see they have breakfast there and as well, but then when they leave that in the morning, they go to their day pastoral team, their tutor. And that's a very small group along with day students, and that's the sort of their touching point for the pastoral care system within the school. And then that sort of runs through heads of year and so on, you know, heads of school and so on. It's about having a really strong pastoral setup that is both boarding and day. And then for us as well, well-being goes hand in hand with that. So we have a really strong well-being program. One of the house parents was the head of well-being, pupil well-being in the whole school, now for the borders. And this is about sort of promoting positive. So rather than sort of waiting for challenges and disagreements to occur, it's about promoting the positive, if you like. And we have a detailed well-being program that you'll see on our website, involves well-being dogs and all sorts of lovely things.
What are the transport links from airports and how are exits handled?
Okay, so we have, as you said, as Mr. Bond said in that video, we're close to London. We're on the Elizabeth line, which is the newest tube line. So getting into central London is really quick. Although Heathrow isn't the closest airport for us, it's actually on that Elizabeth line. So you can literally do a 5-minute walk from the school to the station in Brentwood High Street, catch Elizabeth line, and at the other end of the line is Heathrow. I think it comes into Terminal 5. So literally just sitting on one train. Stansted is quite quick. It's about 25 minutes away. The last family I had in for a visit from Europe flew into City. That's also close, and from City you can catch the Elizabeth line quite quickly. So again, really closely connected. And then if you go around the M25, we're right on the M25. Gatwick is sort of 2 hours, I suppose, around the M25. So a few options there. We also have students traveling by train to Europe. So we have, for example, so they're not catching planes. They are going on the Eurostar to Europe, and that's again really easy to do from Brentwood because of the Elizabeth line.
Okay, so talking about transport, the parent also wants to know if you have a coach system and airport pickup.
Yeah, both of those, and then for flexi boarders, yeah, a sort of bus transport system. Older students will tend to go to airports themselves. Younger students are accompanied. We have a taxi service that is vetted, safeguarding checks by the school, and so we use them for those that want to use a taxi. And there's inside this question is another question about exeats. We don't have Saturday academic lessons. We have a co-curricular, mainly sports program on a Saturday. So boarders can choose to have an exeat any weekend they like, as long as there is a reason for them to be going somewhere. Or they can, we don't actually have set exeats, so they can be in, some boarders are in every weekend, and from the start of term to the end of term, so they have no exeats. So it depends on the boarder and the family. It can work either way.
Okay, then there's a question here too. How do you prepare students for the next stage in life?
Okay, so a very strong careers program. This takes place, so for younger boarders sort of working through the school, kind of coming in for GCSE, that sort of thing, it happens in year 11, and it's a very big part of their year 11 program. For year 12s coming in at that point, a similar system to sort of catch up with that, although the year 11 program includes making choices, because as you've heard, we have 3 choices in the sixth form: BTEC, IB, and A level. So the year 11 program for those coming in younger would include that. So it's looking at their academic progress, their career aspirations, and what universities they want to go to, or maybe going in, to City of London as an apprentice, for example, and it's giving advice on that, and therefore what subjects they should study and whether they should do A levels, BTEC, or IB.
Okay, so I understand Dr. Arlo has a few questions for you as well. So Dr. Arlo, you have the floor.
Thank you, Da Silva. So I just wanted to underscore the question Elaine asked on dealing with disagreements between pupils, because I literally was dealing with a situation this morning where a boy was suspended from school because of an ongoing rift between his roommates, and they're now in a situation where they've had to change his room, right? And what we later on found out was that he felt he wasn't being heard. And I mean, he hadn't actually raised the issue before because he felt no one would really take him seriously. So I think what you said about having a really strong pastoral care system in place really is important, because sometimes some of our children in particular just for some reason feel like no one is there to really listen to them. Not all the time, but in certain places they feel like others get away with things that they don't get away with. So there are cases where that happens, and it's really helpful to hear that there's first of all, Brentwood is a very diverse community already, so that really helps. And then the fact that there's a strong pastoral care system in place, and our children can feel heard and not feel like others will get away with things they don't get away with. I think that's
Yeah,
really
and
important.
you made a good point there, and I've heard this before, and I've heard it recently about a student that came to us from another school for what you've been saying, which is that in a shared room. And this is where I think it can be difficult, because and I've sort of seen this myself in person, because the setup in the school can be excellent, and obviously that involves, during the daytime it's in lessons and it's in the open and so on, and that's fairly straightforward. And in the boarding house, in general, it's about the atmosphere of the boarding house and shared spaces and so on. But then when you go to your room and you're sharing with another student, that is different again. And I mean, all I can say in response to that, from our perspective, is that our boarding, now every single student has their own room. We've had that already for the boys. Our boys have always had their own rooms, but shared bathrooms. Most of our girls have had their own rooms up to now, but from September 25 onwards, every single student has their own room. And I just think that I've experienced personally sharing rooms, and I've been a house tutor and a housemaster, and that was part of the fabric of being a boarder. But I think there is something to be said for just having that private space to go to of your own. And I think more, I grew up sharing a room with my brother, but I think nowadays children are much more used to having their own rooms. And, as apart from the study aspect of it, so the older students, obviously, if they're studying exams, they need a study room. And that's the way we're geared up. Probably half of our boarders are sixth formers. They're studying hard, and they basically have a study room as they would at university.
Amazing. And I also think there's something to be said for nipping things in the bud as soon as it's identified, and with a really good house parent and, house care team being able to just spot when things are off. I mean, it's not always an easy thing to do, but I feel like the earlier things identified and addressed, the better, so it doesn't grow to what we had to deal with today with the boy being suspended. And this is an otherwise lovely young man, but he just had it, I guess. So being able to identify things early on really helps, I will say, to our parents who are on the call. My final question is about the IB program. And can I just say, it's so good that Elizabeth Line comes to Brentwood.
We're very lucky, yes.
I truly think that the Elizabeth line is one of the best lines to have been added onto the underground. It's amazing where it goes to. So with the IB program, what has the take-up been like? Because many of our parents are still very A levels focused, and but a number of them are beginning to catch on with the strength of the IB program and the possibilities that the IB program opens up to to their children. So if you can just speak a bit to the IB program, so our parents are a lot more aware, particularly those who have just only thought of the A levels route.
Sure. So, so most of our Brentwood day students prefer A level. It's just the way that they are, and I think it's a more sort of it's a more popular thing to do in the UK. I don't think IB is actually, for UK students so popular. Our boarders, about 2/3 of our boarders are coming in from international schools, so it's very much international families, expat families, foreign office, that kind of thing. So they're very used to that. They're very used to come. They're either been at an international school that is a sort of a non-British curriculum, or maybe they're studying the IB MYP or IGCSEs. So that's kind of their background. They're used to that, and so yeah. I mean, you're asking about uptake.
Yeah.
So yeah. I probably 90% of our boarders are coming in to study the IB. They're either coming into year 12 straight in to do IB, or they're coming in for a pre-IB year 11, or coming into years 9, 10, and now for our new boarding house 7 and 8 with the intention of doing IB. Our prep school, so we start at age 3. Our prep school has adopted the IB primary years program. So that IB is actually, although it's the smaller companion to A level in the sixth form, the IB curriculum within the whole school is very strong, because the prep school, that's sort of 1/2 of the school, almost 1/3 of the school, is studying the IB, and therefore our GCSE program, and for those that do that register and see the curriculum choices they've got, it's a very broad range of subjects, even at GCSE, and that is informed by the IB. So we have subjects that are a little bit unusual. Languages, for example, are extremely strong, and that's driven, I think, by the IB. So in our IB program, 1/3 are Brentwood day students moving up, 1/3 are boarders, and 1/3 are UK students coming from other schools to us.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, thank you so much for that presentation. Thank you, Dr. Arlo, as well. Okay, so we'll move quickly to the next school now. before we now go into the panel session. Mr. Brian, I hope you're still around for the panel session.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so now we're going to move on to Roden School. And Roden School will be represented by, okay, I see Alison Winnicus.
Hi, good morning, everybody, and it's really lovely to be here with you today. I hope you enjoy the presentation, and I look forward to answering some of your questions towards the end. I'm currently Director of Marketing and Admissions, and I hope that you'll find the presentation insightful. I'm going to share my screen, and it will be a visual presentation that I'll run through with you. Can everybody see?
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can.
Fantastic. So just what Rodine is today, we are an all-girls school located on the beautiful coast of Brighton in the county of Sussex. We're a school currently of about 615 girls, and we have an entry point of age 11, and we move all the way through to the end of A-levels, age 18. We're a boarding and day school, and we have 50% of our current school roll who are in our boarding houses. And that's really important to have that group of boarders on site. So during weekends and when it's not normal academic activity, you have a full community that is currently on site, and that even at weekends or exeats, there is a community around you so that you can continue enjoying school life. We're a strong British boarding school with strong British values, but we do have a 40% international cohort within our group of 615. And this really adds to an unbelievably rich tapestry of culture within the school. And within this 40%, we have girls coming from over 40 different countries. So something that is part of our unique selling point, I guess, would be our location. It's a rare location on the coast, having the most gorgeous view. So I just quickly want to share a video with you just to give you an idea of where we are.
Sorry, Alison, we can't see the video.
Let me try again. Is it not sharing?
We can hear the sound, but we can't see the video.
Okay, I don't know why it's not. That's a shame. Sorry. In a nutshell, can you see the picture on the screen at the moment?
No, we can only see girls first, the first slide.
What can you see now?
Still the first slide.
That is really weird because...
Okay, now we can see the power of an all-girls education.
It's lagging, I think. Okay, can you see the power of an all-girls education?
Yes, we can.
All right, well, let's see how we go. But okay. I'm not going to go back to the location slide in case it glitches again. But I think what's important to note, and particularly when you're sending girls from the other side of the world, is that our site it's very safe. So it's a fully enclosed site with one entrance that has a security booth. And I think what's important about that is that it gives girls the freedom to be able to wander around the site without having to be concerned about the community around. So you kind of have that country feel on the outskirts of Brighton, but we're also 10 minutes away from the city. So as a girl growing up, you have the best of the both worlds, where you have that country-like feeling during the weeks, and over the weekends you can go into town to have coffee and to socialize. But more importantly, what is the power of an all-girls education? And I think, as our strapline says, it's about putting girls first. So everything about our school, whether it be academics, sports, whether it is discipline, the pastoral side, everything about our school is always with the girls first and central to every single decision that's made. We believe that in an all-girls school, all girls, their confidence is boosted and they develop leadership skills. And that's because in a single gender school, you're not sharing the responsibilities, and you have that opportunity and that can-do attitude that anything and everything is possible for you. We also know that academics, that girls in an all-girls education do really well on the academic front. And that, again, is because the environment is geared towards the way that girls think, and they're able to focus more on their studies without distractions or social pressures. There are stronger relationships that form in girls' schools. It promotes equal participation, and particularly in a school like Roedean, cricket is one of our most prominent sports, and that's because girls can go out onto the cricket pitch with the confidence that nobody will be there to judge them. And also within our girls' environment, we have very strong role models. So with female administrators and leadership roles, students are exposed to really strong women with a can-do attitude. Our aim for all of our students at Roedean is first and foremost for every student to be happy. Without happiness, curiosity, engagement, independence, creativity, confidence, and compassion, all of those good things can't happen. So first and foremost, within our pastoral care structure, within the way that we nurture and care for the girls, we want them all to develop a sense of absolute happiness. Within the classroom, we create a really great environment for girls to really stretch themselves and be extended. So we continue to involve the curriculum to ensure that every single student that leaves Roedean is career ready, developing their skills, their academic curiosity, and certainly a love for learning. Most of our girls in the sixth form, up to 40%, go on to study a STEM-related subject. So STEM is a faculty within our sixth form that really does thrive, and that starts from getting the girls involved in a very broad-based curriculum right in Key Stage 3, years 7, 8, and 9, getting them tinkering with design and technology, getting them involved in STEM-related clubs of coding, etc., and really developing that sense of curiosity that allows them to pave the way to greater things from school years. Going on, our GCSE results are really good. 2024 saw our highest crop of GCSE results, with 79% of all grades being between grade 7 and 9, and with grade 9 being our highest grade. In terms of our A-level results, we were also really thrilled with the 2024 results, with 57% of all grades either being A star and A. What that really means for us is that every single lesson is pitched at an A grade level. 70% of our students go to their first choice university, with 75% of the girls going to Russell Group universities. What is interesting is that we are seeing girls who are wanting to go into the US market, and within our careers and futures department, all of those skills are there to support our students wherever they may end up, either be it at a UK university or abroad. We have a strong Oxbridge placement program that we run, and that is supported through our futures office as well. And based on these results, we were in the top 10 girls' boarding schools across the country. One of our many success stories was Tammy. She hailed from Nigeria. She was also part of the senior leadership team at Roedean, and she started, I think it was in her GCSEs, and really made the most of all of the different opportunities that were offered at the school. She went on to study at King's College, and she continues to do really great things there. Part of Roedean's ethos, I guess, is that more than just being a strong academic school, we offer a really broad co-curriculum. And I think based on our location, our site, we really have the opportunity to extend the girls well outside of the classroom boundaries. From looking at orienteering on our 40-acre site through to building F-24 cars, a fantastic sports offering, arts, performing arts, and even a farm on the site. The girls have really the opportunity to try anything that they particularly enjoy. I think when I joined Roedean in my position, something that really struck me was how we encouraged the students to start their own co-curricular clubs if they had a passion or a skill that currently wasn't offered. So within our 140 activities that we offer, there are multiple different activities there that are purely run through the passion of different students. Bringing it all together, we have the Roedean Diploma that was launched in September of this year. It is designed in 3 different programs, one for our junior students, middle school, and then our 6th form. And really centering around the themes of innovation, inspiration, and impact. What the diploma really does is that it creates a concrete tool really for the students to use in order to develop their skills and passions across all the different areas offered by the school. So whether it be academic, whether it is giving of yourself in the community through our social engagement programs, whether it's just being a good citizen within our boarding houses, helping each other, where, you know, it's also about looking for things that you haven't previously done. So possibly venturing down a creative pathway if you are naturally STEM based, or it's belonging to a sports team and learning all the bits and bobs that go together with participating in a team. The diploma has been a really, really successful launch. Currently we have the majority of the school working towards gaining these diplomas, and it really is a sense of satisfaction being able to tick each little segment of the diploma off. We have one really, really enthusiastic student who in the junior diploma, it took her a term to complete each and every one of these cakes, and was awarded her junior diploma just only last week. We spoke about pastoral in the last presentation from Brentwood, and again, pastoral becomes absolutely central to everything we do at Rodine. It underpins all successes within the school, and particularly as a school that has boarders in from all over the world, making sure that the girls are safe, that they feel happy, that they matter, that they belong, that they have a voice, is also important in terms of ensuring that they come out of Rodine feeling strong, confident young women. So whether it be in the classroom, in the boarding houses, within friendship groups, within the chapel, in the academic space, we have a really strong program that is built around the staff, as well as built into the curriculum of the girls, in order to understand, you know, everything that is positive about pastoral. We look after the head, the heart, the body. We build self-belief and resilience into each of the girls, and ensuring that at all times there's always somebody that, in terms of an adult, that any of our students can talk to. Being largely boarding as well, there are obviously 2 parallel pastoral programs that run, and I speak parallel but hugely entwined. So the boarding program, where you've got your house mistresses, your academic tutors, your support tutors, that really care and wrap up the girls in the off times, but then running integrated with that is the whole academic side, where each and every student is part of a tutor group who fits within a larger year group, which fits within a larger key stage, and with each of those particular areas having a particular pastoral or somebody managing the pastoral aspects of that. And I think one thing that really also strikes me about Rodine is the fact that each and every student is known to all. And I think when you know that you're not just somebody, but you have a meaningful relationship with everybody within the school, I think it's that sense of belonging, particularly from when you're far away, that is really important in terms of building that happiness and the success within the school. Boarding is really a home away from home here. We have 6 boarding houses, 2 of which are for the A-level students, or our 6th form students, 4 which accommodate our years 7 to 11. We have integrated boarding, which means that we have girls from year 7 all the way through to year 11 in one house. And what that really does create is a family environment where the older girls are there to, you know, perform leadership roles and to be role models for our younger girls. And our younger girls get to look up to those ahead of them with aspirations of where they would want to be one day too. All of our boarding houses are beautifully decorated. They're fitted with kitchens. You can see that food is very much part of the boarding environment here. And I think what is also important is that all the boarding houses have small things which we call snugs. And these are outside of our normal common rooms, but it allows space, smaller spaces, I guess, where on any given day, you know, you could go and have a quiet cup of coffee with any 1 or 2 friends, as opposed to being in the main common room where there could be 50 girls. So it emulates a home where you have different spaces that you can spend your time. And I think that's really important, particularly after a full day, if you just want to decompress. The studies within the houses are also really important places, and often you see girls sitting, speaking to their house staff, just as you would when you come home from school as a day parent or a day child anywhere else. And it's just being able to communicate and connect and to really talk about how your day is, what went well, what didn't go so well, and forming those meaningful relationships. I hope we're going to be able to see this video. I'm going to ask if you can please let me know if it doesn't come up, but I guess it's the words that count. And this is Anorsa, it's a reflection of her life at Rodin. She started here at year 7, and she just speaks about a couple of issues that have been really important to her as she's journeyed.
Do you want to stop share and then start again?
Stop share?
Yes, and then share again. Let's see if we'll see it.
Okay, let me go to her video. Can you see it?
And we can see reflecting on life at Rodin.
Yes, let me see if the video will play. Can you hear?
Yes, but we can't see the video.
I'm Anorsa. I joined Rodin when I was in year 7 and I'm in year 13 right now, and I'm a senior prefect. I'm from Nigeria. Some of the things I really cherished as a Rodin girl is the fact that I can dabble in multiple different aspects of the school. I'm not only restricted to one aspect. I can do drama, sports, and I could do well in academics and still feel very, very fulfilled at the end of the day, because I know I've used every single facility afforded to us. One of the things I really enjoy about being a boarder is, well, there's not one thing, there's multiple different things. I would say is just the friends you make along the way, the fact that your home is and your bed is in school, so it's quite flexible and useful, and also just the fact that the boarding staff are incredibly kind and helpful, and they always get to listen at every time and any hour of the day. Being so far away from home, it's quite hard and quite difficult, especially when you're young and you start pretty young. I started boarding in year 5 and I came here in year 7, and I would just say a coping mechanism is just your friends, because your friends really, really make you feel like home. The love that you have from home is like shared amongst your friends. And I'd also say it may seem difficult at first, but it gets easier when you immerse yourself in different sports and just different aspects of the school, because it's almost like time has passed really, really quickly. So it doesn't make you feel like I'm missing them at all. Thing that the school gave to me was an opportunity to gain leadership, because I'm currently in the head of school team, and when I was in year 7, I never even thought of being a prefect. That was not even in my thought process. Just getting to the next class was more important to me. But the fact that the school and all the staff and pastoral and everyone has really guided me along the way to the point where I felt comfortable to put my name forward, and just the fact that it's an opportunity afforded to me is just amazing and something I've never ever dreamed of in my wildest dreams. So that's something I really, really cherish, and just like many people I can help in my role as head of school for boarding, diversity, inclusion, sustainability. A message to anyone considering Rodin, I would say, it may feel like it would be a bit daunting at first, but one thing I realized is that everybody was friendly immediately right off the bat. I had no problem finding any friends. And another thing I would say is get involved in everything. It doesn't matter if your niche is academics, dance, drama, just get involved in everything, because the school really has facilities for every single thing you may be interested in, and just prepare you for the real world, because you already had time to develop your skills, and that's something that the school really, really gives you.
Just a quick slide on, and I am wrapping up soon, so we will be shortly heading towards questions, but it's always good to get recognition. But I just absolutely loved one of the comments that the pupils wrote about Rodin, and they just said, I wouldn't change anything. It's perfect just the way it is. In terms of our Nigerian community, we've got a long-standing connection with Nigeria. We have over 80 ORs across various areas of Nigeria, and for many years we've had multi-generations coming through through Nigeria. It's a place where we see all of our Nigerian students really thrive, and I think they, on more occasions than not, most of our Nigerian girls will end up being in leadership roles, and I think it's just because they throw themselves into everything. They love the opportunity to get involved in the curricula, they love the academic rigor that's here, and they love the opportunity to give back to the school through various leadership roles. And from an admissions point of view, at any point in time that anybody does want to come and have a visit, you are most welcome. I know not everybody can leave and come to the UK, so we do have on our website an online tour. And you're very welcome to pop onto our website and have a look at that. And if you do have any questions regarding the admissions journey, you are very welcome to be in touch. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that presentation. Amazing. Thank you. So we do not have any questions for you yet, but while we wait for the questions, I'd love to call on Dr. Arlo. I think she has a few things to engage you on. Dr. Arlo, you're on now.
Yes, thank you. Just to say, I think maybe because some of the parents couldn't see the slides, but we can send the information to the parents afterwards. Thank you so much for that amazing presentation. And I wanted you to just speak to what makes Rodin stand out. And the reason I ask is because many of our Nigerian families are very familiar with a number of like all girls schools, and there are some that top the charts for our Nigerian families. And like you mentioned, you have over 80 ORs. So we do know of Rodin, and Rodin definitely holds a special place. What would you say makes Rodin stand? I don't want to mention the other names of the other all girls schools that Nigerian families are familiar with. What would you say really makes Rodin stand out?
I think there are a few things. I think for me, Rodin is a special place because it's about the individual. So whilst we have a very strong academic rigor, I think we really do look to what is important for each and every student. And it's about building a school experience that's going to ultimately allow that student to really engage with those things. And it's not just about academics, it's about the other things that build up the confidence, that builds up all of the different characteristics that are required to be or to make a student successful at the end of the day, and giving them every single opportunity for them to be able to reach that university or that particular career of choice. I think we're in an amazing setting, and I think that is very unique to us. And I think it really complements our ethos of everything is possible. We have no walls, we overlook the sea, and the horizon is really as far as I can. That's basically your vision. So I do think it is, as all girls schools will say, there is a power of an all girls education. But I think at Rodin, it's about the individuality and in creating something that's really special for that unique student.
Oh no,
Okay.
Okay, yeah, okay. Carry on, De Silva. Can you hear me?
You can go right ahead.
Can hear you now?
Okay. Sorry, I think my video is frozen, but thankfully you can still hear me.
That's fine.
Yes, we can.
Great. Okay. So my final question would be on something you said, which I really liked. You mentioned that a number of the girls are starting to ask about universities in the US.
Mm-hmm.
We're starting to find the same as well. I wonder what's happening. I mean, I know why people are asking, but there's definitely been an increase. And if you could please just speak to more of what that support looks like, because obviously having to write the exams and at the same time they're doing A levels. I had a parent asking me the other day, oh, can she write her SATs in year 11? And what will the support look like? Because she doesn't want it to clash with the A level prep work. So I'm sure the Futures Office does a great job of that, but it'll be great to hear more from you about that support for families who want their daughters to go to universities in the US.
I think this is something that is definitely on the rise, and like it is on the rise, we are developing the skills in-house as the interest increases. So it was just in our senior team meeting the other day that we were talking about how can we build those skills. So we do collaborate with an external agency at the moment whose forte really is university entrance US university entrances. And so at the moment, we're working hand in hand whilst we build our own in-house support with that. But I think it is a completely different process, and unlike the UCAS process where you're kind of doing one application for multiple universities, you're having to do individual applications and meeting all the different requirements and understanding the nuances of the different universities is knowledge that we are currently trying to build into our Futures Office. So yes, it is a work in progress from our side, and I think we will be quickly working to build up that skill in-house. But yes, we do have an external company who does support us to get the very best careers advice for our girls.
Yeah, I really do think it.
Okay. Yes, so we have one question here, and then I'll let you stop your presentation. Okay, so we have two actually. How do you teach the girls about women in leadership in the school? And then we have, do you offer support for students with learning differences or special education needs?
I think teaching about women in leadership roles, we have a couple of interventions within the school. So we recognize World Women's Day, International Women's Day, and we use our ORs and we use our network of ambassadors to the school who are successful women in their particular areas. And we do a lot of talks at school where our students can really witness what it takes to be a woman in leadership and understanding what that process is of getting there, understanding, what were the rungs of the ladder that they had to take in order to get to that point. So we do look at our ORs as role models for our students at school. We have a rich network of ORs, many of actually which hail from Nigeria as well. And they would do extensions for our girls, and they are ambassadors for various aspects of the school, and they would have access to them as mentors. From a SEN provision, we do provide, we have a very fully functional SEN provision within the school. As much as we can support the girls is the level to which we will go to on a SEN provision. So we will engage with that family prior to entry in the school if it's a new incoming student, to understand what their levels of support would be so that we are aware of what we need to engage with them on entry. If certain issues do come to light when the student is already at school, those are picked up academically and will be where they will then work with the SEN department, and that can either be on a one-to-one basis where they are having smaller group sessions outside of standard lessons and they're supported through that, or if the process needs more, our SEN department will then look for the various interventions that are required.
Amazing. Thank you so much for your presentation. It's been nice listening to you, and I'm sure the parents have found it interesting as well. Okay, so right about now, we're going to move to the panel session, and we have one very interesting topic to discuss. If all the schools that are presented would just turn on their videos now for the panel session. Okay, thank you. I'd love for Mrs. Benedict to join the panel session. So if you would turn on your video, if that's fine. Great, thank you. Okay, so this is one topic that is really, really dear to me because I'm African, and I love the African culture. So the topic, first of all, is preserving African values in a Western setting. Yeah, so I'm glad to see you both. So, okay, so Nigerians love the education in the UK, but a lot of times we struggle with preserving our culture because once we go to the UK, we tend to almost forget our culture and then imbibe the Western culture. So let me start with, can you give me your names once again so I can refer to you with your names?
Brian Hayes from Brentwood.
Okay, then the students from Dean Close, can I have your names?
My name is Maxwell. This is
Maxwell. Sorry, I didn't get that.
My name's Ezra.
My
Ezra.
name's Jane.
Sorry?
Jane.
Jane, okay. Maxwell, Ezra, and Jane. And then we have Mrs. So are you Miss Sons now? Are you Miss Sons from Rodin? You're muted.
Sorry, there we go. I'm Alison Vinicus.
Okay, Alison Vinicus. Okay. Okay, so yes. And then we have Mrs. Benedict. Okay, so let me start with Ezra. How easy was it for you to integrate into the UK system, being an African? And how easy was it for you to maintain your Africanness?
In Africa, there are a lot of values that we have, especially where I was living. I was literally in the middle of the rainforest, studying with other students. I think one key difference was the hospitality. I think as Africans, we like to give a lot and contribute, whether it's food, gifts of gratitude, or just spending time with other people. I think that is one thing that I've always wanted to bring to people in the UK, especially in the school. And the school provides a lot of ways of doing that. So when I spoke at the literature festival, I got to share a bit about my story and the stories from the villages and what my parents' charity work does. And so, yeah, I really enjoy sharing the possibilities that we can. I'm trying to think what I could say. The school provides a great way of sharing our values.
That's great. Thank you.
Oh, oh, sorry. Can you hear me now?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry. We had to switch to another source of power. Sorry. Okay. All right. So I would like to ask Mr. Brian, how do you help the children, the African children in your school, to preserve? You know, some students come to the UK and then it starts with their names. They want to change their names. They want to change the way their names are pronounced and all of that, just because they want to fit in. So is there anything special or anything extra you do to help them maintain their identity or to appreciate their identity as Africans?
Right. Interesting question. I'm going to just backtrack if I can to talk about values, because I just did a quick Google to check, and it says in Google, Nigerian values include respect for others, hard work, and honesty, and then it lists them as being respect, honesty, hard work, morality, justice, tolerance. And I think other schools would agree with me that, you know, this is the foundation of our school. And I think you heard there from the headmaster of Brentwood School about our values of virtue, learning, manners, that's to me reflects exactly what Nigerian families value. But then we've got this other question, I guess, of culture, if you like, and identity that you brought up. So there's culture, which is a slightly different thing. But you've mentioned, I suppose, what you'd call identity, which, you know, in the context of changing your name and so on. I think two answers for us, really. First of all, we're a very culturally diverse school, as other schools have probably said. Reason for that is Brentwood is so closely connected to London, and it reflects London, which is obviously culturally diverse. And so if you look at, if you come to the school, if you see videos of the school, the student body, you'll see how culturally diverse we are, and therefore I don't think it's so much a sense of immersing yourself in something completely different and losing your own identity, because it's very clear when you walk around the school that there are many types of identity. We have Nigerian and other African day students that have moved to the UK for work, families that have moved for work and settled in Brentwood or near to Brentwood. And we have boarders as well that are Nigerian and other African backgrounds. And then we also have, Kenyan students living elsewhere, Uganda, Nigerians living elsewhere. So this huge mix of cultures. And I think what happens is that it's not a case of everything getting mixed up. I think it's more a case of it's very clear that there are lots of different identities, and it's important to maintain your own identity. I don't know if that makes sense. I think if I go back to my own experience, and others have probably got their own, I think I felt coming from Africa as a 6-year-old different, and I did feel I lost my identity, and I do remember feeling questioning myself, who am I, and really being confused as to who I was. But I think that was different times and a different type of school, and I think if you look at Brentwood School, it's so culturally diverse, and I think that's the way people hold on to all of their individual identities. And I just throw in as well there about gender as well, because I think that's really important. We're a diamond model school, so girls and boys academically educated separately from the age of 11 to 16, co-curricular and social mixed, and then obviously students who are identifying as different genders. So we've got all of that going on. It's a very progressive school in that sense, and I feel it reflects the modern world, is my feeling, and that sense that we're all part of a global. We're all global citizens, if you like. We all travel around. We've all, many of us have lived in different places, and yet, as you say, it's important to hold on to your own sort of identity. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah. The reason we actually brought this topic up is one of the concerns our parents have when they're sending their children to independent schools here in the UK is, oh, I don't want my child to lose who they are, lose their identity. And, we have many strong African values. But one of the things, I often say to our parents is your children are coming here to learn about the British culture. They're coming here because they want an international experience. And can we begin to think about a human culture? Yes, of course, I stand for everything, African and everything about our values and our culture, but you're actually coming here to integrate with another culture, learn about another culture, but obviously not doing that to the detriment of your own culture. So, Jane, I wanted to ask Jane a question, and we have Elaine who's also going to speak as well. So, Jane, I like the fact that you're the chapel, I think you're a chapel prefect, right?
Yes.
Amazing, because obviously as Africans, our faith, religion, our faith is a huge part of who
Yes.
we are. So what has that done for you, and how have you found, settling in, learning a new culture, in Nigeria, in African countries, you would call an older person with the prefix before their name, but here
Yes.
have to call them by their first name. Sometimes they find African names difficult. But your faith is actually where I want to hear from you on that because of your role as a chapel prefect and what that has meant for you.
Well, being chapel prefect, I think it has actually helped me a lot become closer to God. Because I always thought maybe when I thought when I first came to Dean Close, maybe I wouldn't be able to express my faith often or have people around me who would want to like pray with me or things. But coming to Dean Close, it has allowed me to have this community of like Christians where I'm able to explore my faith, and also having the chaplaincy team. I've had adults who are always there to answer my questions about my religion, and I don't know, it's just helped me grow more as a Christian because I've learned to know more about God. So when I go home, things I've learned in school that they're talking about in church, I'm like, okay, I understand this because I've heard about this in school. So it helps me feel like at peace and comfortable in my religion, basically.
That's really good. So there's that continuity for you. So it's not like you go to school and you forget everything about God.
No,
There's that continuation, which is
definitely.
amazing. Okay. So just, yeah. Okay, the
And
silver.
we
Yeah.
have a parent's hand up, and I think
Yes.
she would like to contribute. So
Yes.
if we'll just now a contribution.
Okay. So Elaine, over to you.
Miss Ellen Walker.
Hello, good afternoon. Can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, we can.
I think
Yes.
what's really important in, being a mother who's had 2 children go through boarding school here in the UK, I think what's really important is understanding that when we send our children, whether they're in the diaspora or whether they're coming directly from the continent, I think just as Dr. Allo alluded to, is that we send them to learn different aspects of culture, because in life, you'll meet different people and you're not going to meet everybody who thinks the same way as you, who even worships the same way as you. And I think that the experiences that are gained set them up for life as they go on. And, I have a son who's at university, and I see how his school experience has shaped him to becoming the man that he is right now. And I think that one of the questions that I had asked, and I don't know if we have time, Dr. Alu, is how the schools set these children up for the next chapter in their lives. I think it's really important because you see some children who look lost at university, but I think the boarding school life really sets them up for university and beyond.
I completely agree with that. And this actually ties into, I guess, the values, the life skills that are being taught to the children beyond a cultural thing, but just preparing the human being for life after school. And again, like Elaine rightly said, that is one of the benefits of a boarding education, really preparing the individual for life um, outside of senior school. And just to wrap us up, because time has gone by so fast, it's a topic we're going to keep discussing and we're going to keep asking our schools. I wanted to hear from you, Alison, because I know you lived in South Africa before, so
I did, yes.
you firsthand understand what we're talking about. So do you want to tell us what it's like for the girls at Routine? And then Maxwell, I haven't forgotten you, so I'm going to come to Maxwell and probably close out with Maxwell. So yeah, over to you, Alison.
Thank you, Dr. Allo. I think for me, I came here 3 years ago from South Africa, and I think what really struck me when I arrived here, and my girls particularly, because they came into a senior school education in the UK, and they were just like, Mum, everybody is just celebrating everybody's differences. And I think for them, it was just the enlightening of you can be who you want to be within a space of learning about other people's cultures. And it's about feeling that you as a human can belong in that space where you share a lot, but also you can be who you want to be, and you're encouraged to be that person, and you're encouraged to be able to share what is important to you. And so within the Rodin community, we do a lot of celebrations around where people come from, what they believe. And whilst we have our chapel and we have our ordinary chapel services every week. We also use it as a place to celebrate something that's really important in someone's country, and it's, you know, we invite the girls to share those experiences with everybody else. So it's a learning environment for everybody. We've recently just had our culture day where everybody wore what was important to them at home, and it gave everybody that opportunity to express themselves, either be it in song, whether it was a special reading, a prayer, or whatever the case may be. So I think what is important is that the environment, whilst we do all subscribe to British education and British values and all of those good things, that there is that opportunity for people to feel that they can still bring what is nearest and dearest to them, and enrich that particular space.
I think that is amazing. I saw the video from your culture day, and I think there was a girl who was speaking in Swahili or Zulu.
He was singing the Xhosa song, the click song.
Yes.
And she opened up our culture day. And I think it was just really celebrating exactly that. You know, that was important for her, and she was brave enough to stand up and really bring something African to the day. It was fantastic.
That is amazing. I can imagine what that did for her. There's
Yeah.
nothing like feeling that connection, because that's really what the parents are concerned about. Like, I don't want you to lose who you are, but at the same time, I want you to learn. And I like the fact that Rodine really creates that learning environment where the girls are open to learning about other cultures from other girls. The fact that we are even having this conversation and the girls can have that conversation, I think it's actually even a step in the right direction. So it's great to hear that. Thank you.
Excellent. You're welcome.
So Maxwell, you're playing rugby and you are loving rugby. The typical Nigerian boy is just football, football, football. So tell us about that transition for you, like getting into rugby and even just settling in, because you started in year seven. You've been there for 6 years now. Wow. What school did you come from in Nigeria, by the way?
I was in Children's International School.
Like a CIS.
Yes.
Amazing, amazing. So tell us what your take is on this conversation. To Da Silva.
Well, the transition from I suppose sports in Nigeria to sports here. Obviously, I played. I mainly did swimming, really, and a bit of football. Right. When I came here, I wasn't familiar with rugby. I probably like watched probably about a total of like 2 rugby games before I come to the enclosed. So the transition was definitely intriguing. I wasn't used to such vigorous, such rough sports. So like in year seven, when I first started playing rugby and I got tackled for the first time, it got me really angry. And that's when like they had to pull me aside and teach me how to play the game. So I'd say there's much more of an opportunity for different activities and stuff like that in here compared to back at CIS. There's athletics. I didn't know I was good at athletics until I came here. Swimming, a lot of other activities. For example, there's D of E. They don't have that in Nigeria. You can, and it's so that's probably the thing I enjoy the most right now. In the close, our adventures team, our head of adventures and stuff like that, Mr. Beecham, he's quite good at what he does, and he gives everyone a chance to explore the UK. And then coming to the UK from Nigeria, I thought that it was just going to be like bleak and boring from all the stuff I had seen on the media. Right? But having come here myself, and seeing all the beautiful nature, all the mountains and all that stuff, it's a real eye opener, I would say.
Oh wow. That is it's so good to hear firsthand from you, like the real life scenarios of just how vigorous the game of rugby was for you at first and how you've settled in and the support from people like Mr. Beach, you said?
Mr. Beecham.
Mr. Beecham, yes. That again, that shows how important it is to have the non-academic and academic staff really holding your hands through the journey. And you've been there 6 years. That speaks volumes in and of itself as well. So thank you very much for sharing your experience, Maxwell. And our parents, I know our time is fast spent, but if you have any quick questions or you'd like to raise your hand, Bernadette, I don't know if you have anything you'd like to add to the conversation, and Da Silva can close us out.
Not nothing particular. Hi everyone. It's great to hear the conversation about identity and being able to blend Africanism with the British culture. So I'm typical, born and bred in Britain, but very Nigerian. And there is a time as a young person that you do struggle with who you are more like, who you identify more with. And I will say, just being able to express the different sides of myself helped me find my identity, because it's unique. I'm very Nigerian, but yet very British. And it comes up in different parts of life. It comes up whether it's in education, interacting with people, interacting in my marriage, because I'm married to a very Nigerian man as well, who is not British, who's Nigerian. So it comes up in different areas of my life, and just being able to be allowed as a young person to express those different parts of myself has really helped. So I'm glad that our schools are taking that seriously. When I started off at secondary school, I went to a school called Blackheath Girls, an independent school as well. And I was introduced in year 7 to ballet dancing. I grew up in United Kingdom, so there's no reason why I should have been introduced to it so late in life. But it was one thing that wasn't prevalent in my African culture, ballet dancing. And I'd done all 6 years of education in the UK. And when I was introduced to that, I was allowed to be very African in that dancing. You can ask me how that was done later, but do you understand? It's just been, when we're able to allow young people to just bring themselves as they are, they find themselves as they are. That makes sense. And I want to commend the schools, and also say it's something that we should continue to work on as schools, to allow people to express themselves, because there's different aspects of Maxwell having been having indulged in a British education in a Nigerian culture would have been something he had to explore different parts of himself as well. Yeah, that's what I wanted to add to it. I hope I make sense. But this conversation really does hit home for me. It's something that I continually have to grasp with, because I'm continually having to decide, am I Nigerian in this situation or am I British in this situation? So yeah, thank you.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you so much for the beautiful contributions and the discussion. I wish we could go on, but time is against us. So this is where we draw the curtain for today. Thank you so much to all the schools that have presented, to Maxwell, Ezra, Jane, a big thank you to you. And a big thank you to all the parents who have stayed on till this time. It's been a wonderful, it's always a pleasure spending this time with you. Dr. Alo, is there anything you would like to say before I finally close the fair for today?
Just to remind our parents that we're here again tomorrow. We've also been streaming this on YouTube, so I'd like to encourage you to please watch the videos on YouTube and really we have a parent who's raised their hand, really soak in all the information. And if you want to explore the school some more, please reach out to us and we'll be happy to direct you to these schools. But I think if we can just quickly, we understand if some of our parents need to go, but we have a parent who has raised her hand and we're here, or his hand. We're here for the parents. So we'll just quickly take the parents' question. Yes, so Yinka S, over to you.
She actually dropped a question here, but I don't know if she wants to take the question live. Yinka, would you like to take the question live?
So you're able to speak. So if you want to unmute and speak.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we
Perfect.
can.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, sorry about that. I didn't know I wasn't unmuted. So I wanted to bring your attention to the question I had just dropped. Thank you for the presentations and everyone who participated, and thank you for this enlightening session. I dropped a question regarding a son or a child who is keen on leaving. He's currently in year 10, and what your thoughts were around him leaving. I know it's a critical time to leave. He's currently in a boarding school in Africa, and just because he really wants to pursue his sporting dream, particularly in football, he doesn't want to wait any longer. But I know it's a critical time, year 10, because of GCSE prep and all, and what your advice would be on that. Thank you.
Okay, so I don't know if Brentwood and Dinclose want to speak to that. I definitely have a response to that. Brian, do you want to say anything to that?
A footballer wanting to come. Yeah, I mean, football is very strong at Brentwood. We have a real tradition. Just going back to the boy who's playing rugby, being a very large school, we can offer 2 terms of football, 2 terms of rugby, and various other sports. So that is the beauty of size. But yeah, so it's a strong tradition. Certainly within the UK, a lot of people know us for football. So yeah, I'd be very happy to talk in another forum to anyone interested in coming to play football and study as well.
Okay, thank you, Brian. I don't know if Mrs. Surgeon or someone from Dinclose wants to say anything to that question. Okay. You're on mute.
Thank you. Lovely. Yes, unfortunately, we have wonderful sports here, but football isn't one that we would major in at Dean Close. So if a pupil was looking to pursue that football aspect, that's not something that we would be able to support, I'm afraid. It's something that pupils can play, absolutely, but it's in comparison to something like rugby or hockey or the other sports, football is more minor for us.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Surgeon. So, thank you, Mom, for raising this question about yeah. Okay, so we want to say something.
Yes, we have just one last question. I'd want us to take the question before we. So, a parent wants to know if there are African Students Association or cultural groups in UK boarding schools that help students stay connected to their heritage.
Okay, so I'll just respond to Mrs. Yinka's question, and then I'll come back to that question. So, like you rightly mentioned, year 10 is a tricky time to move a child because, for all intents and purposes, the GCSE is a 2 years program. So, if you want your son to join in mainstream, there are many schools that wouldn't necessarily be open to having a child in year 10. However, there many schools who will do a 1-year GCSE program, and so your son can actually join in year 11, but he'll be doing a 1-year GCSE program, not necessarily joining the mainstream GCSEs that the school does. So it's to find a school that runs a 1-year GCSE program, and there are quite a number of them, and we'll be happy to share some of these schools with you, who will take your son in for year 11, and may even consider maybe summer term for year 10, so that your son can pursue his sporting dream. So you are right in the sense that it's tricky, but it's definitely not impossible to have that happen. And it's something we can discuss with you some more later.
Okay. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for this feedback, because you did note that's the point I was drilling down on the critical time that he's living.
Yes.
Year 10 is very critical, having to settle into school and
Yeah.
all that. Thank you so much. I'll be happy to take this, discussion offline as well with you directly. Thank you. Thank you very
We
much.
definitely love to do the same as well. So I think Opeyemi has put a link in the chat box so we can carry on the conversation.
Yes, please. I've booked one. Thank you very much. And thanks for your time, everyone. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you very much. Okay, so the question on African student associations, yes, there are actually a number of schools who are beginning to recognize the need for African children to feel a sense of community and come together in an organized format as an African society. So there are schools that have that in place, but not all schools. And the schools that don't have that in place, it doesn't necessarily take away from the fact that these children don't have a sense of belonging and interact with one another. But there are schools, definitely more the case in the university, but there are schools that would encourage them to come together in an organized format and have their meetings or cook a meal together or just share a part of their heritage together. So that definitely does exist. Like I said, we're having these conversations now. This wasn't really the case before. Like, you just come get on with it. You're coming into a British it's like someone coming into an African country and saying, "Oh, I want to preserve, my values." I mean, think about it the other way around as well. So, but yes, these societies do exist in some schools.
Thank you so much. Always amazing. Okay, so this is where we wrap up today. We close the fair today, and the fair opens again tomorrow, same time, 11 a.m. UK time and 12 noon Nigerian time. Do not forget to go into the chat box, the chat room, and fill the form there if you would like to engage Brains and Butter after now. And then the contact details are there as well. So if you'd love to visit any of the schools as well, Brains and Butter will be available to help you make that happen. It's been a wonderful day. I've learned so much, and it's been an interesting fair so far. So if you know anyone who is supposed to be here tomorrow, please remember to drag them along and make sure they're here tomorrow. So till I see you again tomorrow, bye-bye.
Thank you,
Bye.
everyone. Thank you. Thank you, Brentwood.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Thanks for
Bye-bye.
staying
Bye,
on this
everyone.
long.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.